right, welcome to the formal session of the Planning Commission for the November 8th. At this time, I'd like to ask for the prayer from Ms. Byler and stand for the pledge.
We look to the heavens to give thanks and to ask for divine guidance. Painfully aware of those who are today living with the threat of harm, we thank you for our abundant blessings in this beautiful city. The blessing to live safely in our Virginia Beach communities and to enjoy the natural beauty of our oceans, rivers, and forests. Knowing that there is strength in diversity, I pray that we will have open minds to receive different opinions and to treat each other respectfully. Thank you for wisdom to move forward. Amen.
All right, thank you. At this time, I'd like to have our staff, starting with our legal help over here, Ms. Wilson, to introduce themselves, and we'll go down the line and end up with the planning department.
I'm Kay Wilson. I'm the Deputy City Attorney for Land Use, and I represent the Planning Commission.
Okay.
I'm Susan Hippen, and I represent City District 7.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Michael Clemens, and I represent District 2.
My name is Don Horsley. I'm a large representative.
George Alcaraz, District 5.
Holly Cuellar, District 8.
Catherine Byler, District 4, generally the town center area and around there.
Brian Plumley, District 6.
William Parks, District 10.
Caitlin Alcock, Planning Administrator. Clerking to my left, we have Madison Eichels and Michaela McKinney. With our planning staff, we have Planning Director Kathy Warren, Wah Dow, Marshall Coleman, and Garrick Hannigan. Also with our IT support, we have Tiffany Garner-Smith.
All right, great, thank you. Now, if I can ask for Madam Clerk to say the guidelines for us so everyone can abide by them, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Virginia Beach Planning Commission takes pride in being fair and courteous to all parties in attendance. It is important that all involved understand how the Commission normally conducts its meetings. It is equally important that everyone treat each other and the members of the Commission with respect and civility. We request that all cell phones be put on silent during this meeting. This is an abbreviated explanation of the rules. The complete set of rules is located in the front of the Planning Commission agenda. Following is the order of business for this public hearing, withdrawals and deferrals. The chairman will ask if there are any requests to withdraw or defer an item on the agenda. Considerations of these requests will be made first. Consent agenda. The second order of business is the consideration of the consent agenda, which are those items the Planning Commission believe are unopposed and which have favorable staff recommendation. The regular agenda. The Commission will then proceed with the remaining items on the agenda. When an agenda item has been called, we will recognize the applicant or their representative first. Following the applicant or their representative, in-person speakers will be called next, and then the speakers participating via WebEx. Speakers in support or opposition of an agenda item will have 3 minutes to speak unless they are solely representing a large group such as a civic league or homeowners association, in which case they will have 10 minutes. If a speaker does not respond or if a technical issue occurs which renders the comments unintelligible, we will move on to the next speaker or the next order of business. Please note that the actions taken by the Commission today are in the form of a recommendation to the City of Virginia Beach City Council. The final decision to approve or disapprove an application will be made by the City Council. The Commission thanks you for your attendance, and we hope that your experience here today leaves you feeling that you have been heard and treated fairly. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we start, I just want to say again, it's a courtesy that we're giving you to come forward to us, and we want you to know we will respect you. Again, there's no individual personal comments that will be given to us, the staff or the commissioners, but then I ask also that the commissioners do the same. This is a respectful forum, and we're going to keep it that way. Okay, thank you. So the first thing we got to do is on this is ask for, are there any withdrawals? All right, we have none. Are there any deferrals? Just state your name and which agenda item you're talking about.
Good afternoon, Chairman Alcaraz, Steve Romine, agenda item number 6, request an indefinite deferral.
Okay. I think we have some speakers here, sir, so we're going to go ahead and hear it for them.
That's
It's
fine.
just, again, for courtesy, since they
That's
came.
fine. Do you want me to address you at that time as well, or just
we'll give you a chance.
stand by for questions?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so there are no deferrals, no withdrawals, no deferrals, and at this time, and there is a deferral, I'm sorry, but we're going to hear that because we do have some speakers. So at this time, I'm going to pass it on to the Vice Chair for the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think we have 4 items on the consent agenda today. The first item is the City of Virginia Beach, an ordinance to amend Section 1804 of the city zoning ordinance pertaining to discretionary development applications. I don't think Kevin Kemp is here, but Kathy Warren will address that from her staff. Kathy?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman, Commissioners. I'm Kathy Warren, the Director of Planning and Community Development. As you are aware, there was a more detailed presentation this morning at the informal session, but we wanted to highlight some of the details of this proposal. So why the change? Properties are permitted to develop by right, utilizing zoning in place prior to adoption of the AQs in December of 2005. Maximum density set by underlying zoning district. Density for discretionary development or a conditional rezoning in the AQs is currently limited by the actual number of units existing on the property at the time the application is submitted, not the previously authorized dwelling units of the zoning district. In effect, property owners and developers prefer to build by right development to get the maximum density allowed, which disincentivizes for rezoning of parcels to mixed-use development or other development patterns that may be more desirable in accordance with the comprehensive plan. So this proposal will define previously authorized dwelling units as residential uses currently permitted or approved prior to December 1, 2005 as a matter of right, subject to a conditional use permit, or subject to any prior City Council approval. It will allow City Council to consider a discretionary application or modification that would allow the previously authorized dwelling units to be changed in form and or relocated, the incorporation of additional land, or the introduction of compatible uses as per Section 1804. There will be an allowance subject to the following. No previously authorized dwelling units shall be relocated into a higher noise zone or into an accident potential zone or clear zone. And previously authorized dwelling units that are affected or changed by the proposed discretionary action shall be reduced by 5%. No actions taken shall be allowed to take the additional bonus density of the city zoning ordinance, Article 21, the workforce housing. And then nothing in this amendment shall require the reduction of previously authorized dwelling units for discretionary actions that shift previously authorized dwelling units into a lower noise zone, but only for those previously authorized dwelling units that are actually moved, not the entire development, or modify conditions or proffers where the number of previously authorized dwelling units are not increased. The site layout or building design is modified and no additional uses are proposed, or it is determined by the zoning administrator to be redevelopment and meets the criteria as set forth in Section 1804D of this ordinance.
Thank you, Kathy. Is there any opposition to this amendment? All right, thank you. The next item on the consent agenda is the City of Virginia Beach, an ordinance to add sections 237 and 901 of the city zoning ordinance pertaining to the use of many warehouses in B4C zoning district. Garrick from staff is going to address this.
Hi, good afternoon, Commissioners. Garrick Hannigan in the Zoning Administration Division. Item 2 is an ordinance to amend Section 237 and 901 of the City Zoning Ordinance, and that pertains to the use of mini warehouses within the B4C district. The purpose of this amendment is to permit this use with a conditional use permit, and additionally, an acknowledgement of the urban forms that are desired within the Pembroke Strategic Growth Area. The amendment would add additional form standards to that mini warehouse use. This amendment will require many warehouses to be contained on the upper floors of a mixed-use building, which feature a minimum of one additional use that is unrelated to that mini warehouse. The mixed-use building housing the mini warehouses will be subject to the same site criteria as any other development within the B4C district, and in keeping with the environment envisioned by that Pembroke SGA. So with that, staff recommends approval of this ordinance as it expands the uses available to developers within the Pembroke SGA, while also ensuring that development of mini warehouses is consistent with the visions of the overall urban core of the city.
Thank you. Is there any opposition to this ordinance? All right. Next item is item number 5, Ruffin 86 LLC subdivision variance. Mr. Garrington.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the Planning Commission. For the record, Billy Garrington on behalf of the applicant. Applicant in this case is Ruffin 86 LLC, property known as 109 A and B 86th Street and 8600 Oceanfront Avenue. Property in question is 2 subdivided lots that were created by deed back in the 40s that we are going to vacate the interior lot line between the 2 of them, create one less non-conforming lot upon which will be built a single-family dwelling, not 4 duplexes, 2 duplexes, 1 on each lot that could be built otherwise. The lot still will not meet all of the requirements of the zoning ordinance because it's a corner lot and doesn't have the additional 10 feet of width, but it will be a significant less non-conforming over that which is there now, and the new use for the property will be for 1 single-family dwelling. In the staff write-up, there are 3 conditions as a part of this request. We're in total agreement with all 3 of those conditions, and thank Marshall Coleman very much for working with us on this request.
Thank you, Mr. Garrington. Is any opposition to this? Hearing none, I ask Mr. Plumley if he'd read this into the record.
Just briefly, the commission has allowed this matter to be placed on the consent agenda. This is for the vacation of an interior lot line at 86th Street in the oceanfront. As the applicant's agent pointed out, this will require a variance be obtained by the Board of Zoning Appeals, which staff has agreed is acceptable under the current ordinance. We've been shown plans that are quite attractive for the construction, and it should reduce some of the activity in that area. I've received nothing but positive comments.
Thank you, Mr. Plumley. The last item on the consent agenda is item number 7, Anna Castillo-Loria, Windsor Oaks, West Parcel 3, LLC, conditional use permit.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Ana Castillo Lora. I'm the wedding officiant. So basically, just want to use we'll need a conditional use permit to use the parcel in the Holland Plaza Shopping Center as a wedding chapel and also a reception hall for small events.
There's some conditions. Are they acceptable, the conditions?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Is there any opposition to this? Hearing none, we've asked Commissioner Bowler to read this into the record.
This property is owned by Windsor Oaks West Parcel 3 LLC. The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit for an assembly use to operate an alcohol-free and tobacco-free venue in an existing 2,070 square foot suite in the Holland Plaza Shopping Center. The shopping center is located along Holland Road on property zone B2, Community Business District. The city has recommended some conditions and the applicant has agreed to them. There is no known opposition and it is appropriate to be added to the consent agenda.
Thank you. That concludes the consent agenda.
Excuse me, Vice Chair. We did have one speaker in support of item 1 before we take the vote.
Okay.
Mark Rosenfield.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman, and members of the Planning Commission. Mark Rosenfield, Executive Vice President with McCleskey, a developer here in Virginia Beach. We're located at 2859 Virginia Beach Boulevard, Suite 106 in Virginia Beach, Virginia 23452. And we support the adoption of this proposed ordinance change to allow projects flexibility in land planning while maintaining the spirit of the relationship with the Navy to limit base encroachment. This language modification enables us to design projects that are current, modern, and of quality. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. So we have 4 items to be, I'm pleased to make a motion that we approve the item number 1, City of Virginia Beach, item number 2, City of Virginia Beach, item number 5, Roughing 86 LLC, and item number 7, Anna Consillo, Loria, Windsor Oaks West, parcel 3.
All right, thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Yes, second.
Second by Ms. Cuellar. I'm sorry, Mr. Parks. She was next to me. I heard her. Her mic wasn't on, but sorry. Mr. Parks.
Mr. Horsley, can you make that motion on your iPad? Thank you, Mr. Parks. All right, the vote is now open. By a vote of 8-0, items number 1, 2, 5, and 7 have been recommended for approval.
All right, thank you. If your application's been approved by consent, if you can get with the Planning Commission, or the Planning Department staff that you've talked with, they can let you know when it'll be up for City Council, on the City Council agenda. So right now, we'll move to the regular agenda. Madam Clerk, if you could call the first item, please.
Agenda item number 3, Michael D. Siphon, is an application for a conditional rezoning AG1 to AG2 and AG2 agricultural districts to conditional R10 residential district at 2000 and 2004 Princess Anne Road in District 2.
Mr. Chairman, for the record, Eddie Burdon, Virginia Beach attorney representing Michael D. Siphon, Inc. and Robert White Jr. and his family on this conditional rezoning application. The project involves a 38-acre farm that's been in the White family for many decades. The proposal, I want to thank WA and the entire staff. We've been working on this for over a year, well over a year, primarily on the stormwater, which has been through all of the models and it can meet the requirements of our current ordinance. This is a 38-lot proposed development on 38 acres, of which 24 will be open space of one type or another. And I know this was on the consent agenda, so I'll just address a couple of the items that WA did a good job of discussing this morning. The first is the idea of having 2 points of access. And as you can see, it isn't feasible. The property, we have Asheville Park to our south, as well as a single-family residence on Princess Anne Road. And to the north will be the Vanguard Landing development. And Vanguard Landing is not going to be, they'll have some small plots for the residents to garden, but it's not the type of agricultural operation, and most of it will be back where we're reforesting the eastern part of this property, but it's not the type of agriculture operation that involves large equipment and dust and noise, the industrial type of farming operation. So that variance along there to the 50-foot buffer to a 20-foot buffer, we believe is more than warranted. Excuse me, the access issue, however, there's no way to have a second access on Princess Anne Road. What we have agreed to do, and is shown on the plans, is put a median for the entirety of the entrance so that you've got 2 separate sections of roadway in and out. So if there's an accident you won't be blocking the entire access way. So that's the best we could do to deal with that, and it's a 38-unit single-family development. You all have been provided with a copy of a slightly revised plan. I want to explain that. We had a community meeting that we notified all the people who had joined the property and the folks across in Sherwood Lakes as well, and the 2 residents of Heritage Park who border the eastern end of the property. And we had no one from Asheville Park came. I've spoken to the representative for HomeFed, who is in charge of the whole development in there every day, and he has spoken with the president of Asheville Park Homeowner Association. They meet later next week. The president thinks it's a good idea to extend and connect to their path that you all have seen, and my client's perfectly willing to do that. They will be taking this up and determining whether they want to do it and want us to do it, and whether they're willing to give a temporary construction easement to connect to their path. If that does happen, which we think it's going to happen, then we will be submitting the revised plan that shows that additional path running along the southern side of the reforested area, the 8.8 acres that we'll be reforesting. And that will help with stormwater too, by the way. It's a big help for stormwater to have that forested area out there rather than a agricultural field. But that will happen before we get to City Council if Asheville Park does wish to have the connection, which we believe makes sense. As I think you all are aware, there'll be a four-way intersection now with Nottaway, and with the entrance to this neighborhood with crosswalks. There already is the multi-purpose trail on the Sherwood Lake side of Princess Anne Road going up to the big park that the city is going to be developing at the north end of that lake. And we're obviously putting the same trail in the 150-foot transition area buffer in front of our property, which will connect through to the Vanguard one that they'll be putting in, and then Munden Farm, which already has theirs. So that there will be, as Mr. Camp said this morning, a lot of opportunities as things progress for people to get around on bikes without actually going out on Princess Anne Road. And there'll be a bike path in Princess Anne Road, as I understand it as well. But that's the reason for that new plan. Nothing of any other substance changed whatsoever with that plan. This is a proffered rezoning, and it's as you know, it's been recommended for approval by the TATAC ITA committee, and nothing is being built as far as any structures at all in the noise zone. It's all outside of the 65 to 70 dBN. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? All right, we'll call you. I think we have one.
We have one speaker via WebEx,
Okay.
Bobby Wood.
My name is Bobby Wood. I live at 2008 Kittredge Drive and have a property that here in Asheville Park that is actually backs up to the property in question for rezoning. Our speaker that we actually had a spokesperson, he's a military fighter pilot, and he obviously was called away. He has a list of signatures of those of us that line that property in opposition. Also, I would like to say that we just, there was no notification of any meeting given to any of us, be on our door, in our mailbox, or through any channels for us to know about a previous meeting where the Asheville Park residents were invited in order to have an opportunity to speak regarding this rezoning. This is the first I've heard of it right now. John Cole lives directly, the Asheville Park president lives directly across the street from me. And we speak every single time we see each other outside. I will say that my husband and I, my husband grew up in the country, and it has always been our dream when he retired after 25 years in the military to come out here to Pungo area and build our dream forever home. And we chose this lot carefully. As a realtor, I probably was my own worst client, and I probably seen 50, 75 homes before we decided on building and chose this lot specifically because of it backing up to the agricultural property, as have all the other individuals that are lining that property and have, you know, chose that property specifically because we see what we look out in our backyards. We have fences that are wrought iron so as to not infringe on the property view, so that we can see straight out through over it, whether it's soybean or corn or whatever it may be. So I really don't like the idea of having someone's backyard with any type of, you know, fencing, backed up to my back property. And that's what I'm looking at for my forever home, when that's not what I chose, not what I paid for. Also the BMP that is slated to go in according to that proposal backs up against the back of my property. And there's already a ditch behind my property. So, we're looking at, the possibility. I lived through the flooding here because I built here. So I've been here for a while. And I lived through the flooding of Asheville Park. And a lot of that was because of the BMPs and the construction at the time. And this one here backs up to the majority of the homes. And not a fan of that either. So definitely opposition. I wish that my neighbor was able to have made it. I don't know what kept him from making it there today, but he has the signatures.
That was her 3 minutes.
That was 3 minutes?
Yes.
Sorry.
No, you're
Sorry. Eddie, just want to make sure I see some more people here. Is there any other speakers? Okay. Just making sure, Eddie.
All right, so hopefully the speakers tuned in. I do not know, there are only 6 houses that back up to where we have lots. And just to be clear, the Asheville Park Homeowners Association has a 50-foot strip of land behind all of the homes in Asheville Park that abut this property. And we are providing a 30-foot buffer on this property. Again, will be owned by the homeowners association, not the residents. And the wrought iron fence that is up on the boundary between the properties will be the only fence. Now, whether someone on one of these lots that face south chooses to put a fence on their property or not, we don't know. We don't expect that will happen. But there will be 80 feet of property owned by the 2 associations between the back property line of anyone whose house, the back of the house faces north towards these homes. And the same is true only to a greater extent with anybody who faces the BMP. There's a much wider buffer. There is a path, and then there's a BMP, a wet pond, before you see a path on the other side of the wet pond, and then the people's back property line. So we're not abutting directly anybody in Asheville Park's back property line. At the minimum width and distance is 80 feet from property line to property line, with landscaping and trail on our property in between. We have trails going down both the strips behind all the houses to connect to the multi-purpose trail and the 150-foot. Well, actually, the multi-purpose trail is in the 50-foot dedicated public right-of-way after we cross the 150-foot open space transition area buffer along Princess Anne Road. So that's the best I can do for that. And the notices went out to all of the homeowners whose properties abut this development in Asheville Park, Heritage Park. Heritage Park came, and then also to the people on, Loxley Arch or Nottoway, I don't know which it's called, on the entrance to Sherwood Lakes. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Badon? Mr. Plumley?
Is the BMP planned to be a public BMP or private? Are you aware?
It'll be a public impoundment easement, but it'll be the ownership stays with the association.
So long-term maintenance remains with the association?
The maintenance, yes. The impoundment, however, it's shared. Let's just put it that way. It's shared between the property owner association and the city of Virginia Beach, and that's the way it is.
So the city will have access, if necessary, to make improvements to the BMP to prevent there from being any kind of unnecessary problem. Okay.
That is correct. That's the way
Okay.
they're all done at this point.
And the reforested passive open space as part of this plan, that will be preserved?
Yes, that's correct.
That's locked down?
Yes, that's 100%.
The reforested area is locked down?
That is 100% correct. And that will be owned by the homeowner association, but it's proffered that it has to be reforested. And just to be clear, it'll do it naturally. We're going to put some seedlings and all down, but it's not. We're not going to be planting a bunch of big trees out there. It'll happen over time.
And one last question. The buffer behind the house of the person that just spoke a few minutes ago, that you indicate is a 50-foot buffer?
On the Asheville Park side,
On the Asheville Park side, help me.
if you see,
Yes.
there, Asheville Park owns a strip of land, and it's I believe it's 50 feet. It's either 40 or 50. I think it's 50. That's my recollection. That's behind all of the homes in Asheville Park.
Yeah, I see where the property line ends, and I was just curious to know if that also is going to be undevelopable, blocked off.
That's a part of
permanently
the Asheville Park.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the Asheville
I'm getting
Park.
nods behind you. Yeah.
Yes, it's all it's open space under the Asheville Park development plan.
And is it currently forested? Do you know?
There is vegetation in it. It's not like a complete, like some of the things you see along North Great Neck Road, where it's just blocks all.
But that maintenance and care will be the obligation of the association.
That is the obligation of Asheville Parks Association. The buffer on our side is on.
I see. Oh,
there's
thank
two
you.
different
Okay, so she
associations.
can go to her association and say, this
Correct.
needs to be improved.
That's right.
And make efforts to increase the vegetation in that buffer.
If they believe the view looking at our buffer and at the lake and then the houses is deleterious, then they can put more trees up there if they wish.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? None, all right, so I'll close it now, and if I can get any additional comments, and if none, if I can get a motion, please. Mr. Plumley.
I don't have a lot of comments other than, in this district, we're looking at an entirety, if you look at the city statistics, it comes to something of like 93% is either open space, ag, or under preservation. There's a very small percentage of single-family housing. And as we know, we need an inventory of single-family housing. It's very slow. He spent a year, or they have spent a year going through the process. So I would like to make a motion in support of this project.
All right, I have a motion by Mr. Plumley. Mr. Horsley, did you have something to say?
I'd second it.
Yes, I'll just make a comment that this ag land is in the transition area, and it's the proper density in the transition area. And that's the reason we knew that this would not remain agriculture forever. And I think it's an excellent plan, and I support the application also.
All right, Mr. Clemens, I got a second from you?
Yes, I second that.
All right, thank you. I have yes. Yes.
I'd just like to comment that when I reviewed this, I was sensitive that we're taking agricultural and we're rezoning it for houses. However, as has been pointed out, it is in the transition area, so we could anticipate this. And if Mr. Horsley thinks it's good, it's good, because he's always protecting the agricultural. Moreover, in the informal meeting, we had Mr. Walter Camp single this out and say what a poster child it was for open space, green space, walkability, paths, and bike paths. So I do support it also.
All right, thank you. So I have a motion, a second by Mr. Clemens. Is there anybody abstaining? No?
Y'all are ahead of me, but the vote is now open. By a vote of 8-0, item number 3 has been recommended for approval.
Thank you. Thank you. You too. Next item, ma'am.
The next item is agenda item number 4, Amberly Carter. It's an application for modification of conditions for assembly use at 2105 West Great Neck Road in District 8.
Just state your name, please.
Amberly Carter.
You're the owner?
I am, yes,
Okay.
speaking on behalf of myself as the applicant.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Go ahead.
All right, yes. Good morning, commissioners. Also, all of the lovely people behind me, and also everyone here to speak in opposition of this. I actually am really thankful for my platform to speak today. I have been operating a wedding venue on Long Bay Point Marina off West Great Neck Road for 4 years now. We opened just before COVID, and we were able to get through that, so I'm sure we'll be able to get through this. But I am really thankful for this opportunity because I believe there's a large misconception of what my goal is for the modification of conditions for this permit. I am not looking to host more events. I am not looking to host events outside. I am not looking to host events with more people. The area behind the building that I operate of now, so right now we are pretty much all inside. We have a very small deck that we call like a porch that is on the front side of the building that faces the canal and Buccaneer Road. There is a space behind us that was previously operated by Spots Fishing Company. It kind of resembles a carport. There is a large driveway in front, about 50 feet by 33 feet. And it's just like an open pavement that needs to be fixed. There were 18-wheelers going to and from the Spots Fish Company multiple times a day, and it's a sight for sore eyes. And so then as you go further back, there's a covered space. So it's an extension from the roof that I have now. And it's fully outside space, but it is covered and it's already built. It's just like a carport. We had the opportunity to take over the space, and we thought it would be a wonderful idea for storage and then also to create a terrace. So what we are looking to do is, if you can see here, we have 3 sets of 3 windows. The top is what it looks like right now. Those on the other side of the wall where the windows are is where our ballroom is located. So what we would like to do is take the center set of windows that is under the carport, turn those into the doors that you see below. Guests will, after the ceremony is over, guests would come out of those doors, see the platform there, and then come down the ramp or the steps. Both sides are open, and then have cocktail hour on that terrace for 50 minutes. At the moment, they actually go into the other half of the inside of our building and sometimes go out onto that front porch. That's not me. Okay. When they go out onto the front porch, that is when they are facing Buccaneer Road. That is also when they're facing our beautiful boating resort on Long Bay Point Marina. There are 10 pier houses along the marina, and it is inviting. It's a beautiful space. The sunsets are absolutely beautiful, and this is where guests know that they have about 50 minutes before they're going to be needed for anything else if they've been to a wedding before. So we do have guests that want to take a walk, or they're excited to see each other. Weddings, they haven't seen each other in quite some time. So there's a little bit of ruckus. I have never received a formal complaint or an informal complaint of any kind in 4 years from anyone on Buccaneer Road or Adam Keeling or anywhere else. The closest thing to a complaint I got was a light shining through Mr. Wise's window that's actually in Inlet's parking lot, and I was able to fix that for him through my contacts at Dominion Power. Anyways, so we are actually trying to take all of the ruckus, if you will, from the front patio or from guests wanting to walk along the marina, and we are trying to bring them outside into this terrace that is completely private. We could not shine a light into someone's house if we wanted to. I could not wave at anyone. There's absolutely no visual sight of any homes. The main reason for being here today is for amplified sound. So that is 100% the reason for everyone's misunderstanding. It just kind of just says like we're looking to add a speaker outside. The last thing that I want to do is be another ballyhoos or anything like that. We are absolutely not looking to have a parking lot party or any type of music that impedes on anyone's dwellings. I do not want anyone to have a cookout that I'm impeding their happiness with their family because of sound during cocktail hour. So not only am I more than happy to agree to the recommendations by the council, but I'm also willing to completely withdraw the need for amplified sound because it is simply not needed. The sound that I was looking to have is no more than 65 decibels of people talking. It's background music during cocktail hour. It would also be faced towards the building where it would be a great, provide that interference from any houses on Buccaneer Road. But we don't need it. We can play a violin out there with plugged into absolutely no speaker, no amplified sound whatsoever. This is just for 50 minutes of taking guests from the front side of the building to the back side of the building, which is actually solving problems that I didn't even know we were having with the homeowners on Buccaneer Road. I completely understand where they're coming from, and I'm actually, like I said, thankful that I get to present this because I believe that this will actually solve any issues that they were having prior.
All right, so I'm going to ask a question to staff. Staff, I'm hearing, is she withdrawing her request for amplified music? Is it now? Is it still modification?
It will be a slight modification to the verbiage of condition number 10.
And that verbiage would be?
Right now, the current conditions state that no amplification of music or use of speakers shall be permitted outside of the main building after 8 p.m. So we just delete outside of the main building after 8 p.m. So we will allow, just say that no amplifier of music or speaker shall be permitted outdoor.
No amplified or music? That's two different.
No amplification of music or use of speakers.
Or use. So a piano and a violin is music without amplified? That's what I'm asking. Okay. But it's not as loud. Okay. Is there any other questions? So we have some opposition we're going to hear.
Absolutely.
We'll hear them and we'll allow you to come back and rebut.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Rick Boyles, followed by Joe Koklisa.
Good morning, Commissioners. Rick Boyles, lifelong Virginia Beach resident. I am a tenant at Long Bay Point Marina, have been for the last 17 years. I do come here today in opposition to the amplified sound portion of Ms. Carter's application. We also might want to look technically at the application itself because the original CUP is under Ferguson Wedding, LLC. She's applied as Amber Carter. She also goes by Amber Ferguson, and she also has another company, Velvet LLC. So I'm not sure who's actually making this application today and whether we're actually modifying the right CUP. In any event, Ms. Carter has operated her establishment for the last 3 or 4 years at the marina. I come and go out of the marina many times a week. I'm down there a lot of times on the weekends for a couple of days, all weekend long. Haven't seen any issues with the organization. Seems to run a fine organization. Every once in a while, maybe a little parking problem or maybe some issue with people standing in the street as you go by there, but nothing of any significance. The amplified sound, though, is going on that, what was a loading dock for Spots Fish Company. That's located in between Inlet Fitness and the building that she leases from Long Bay Point Marina. I think there's an opportunity there for that sound, if it's amplified, to get in there and start echoing. There have been some complaints from over at Ballyhoo's. We heard this morning at the informal that sound does travel farther across the water than it does across land, and this is an open marina with lots of water. So if she's willing to remove the amplified music criteria, I'd love to hear piano music or violin music or anything along those lines there. The other thing that might be addressed by the commission would be that this concrete piece of property, if we could pull the slide back up, is literally on the waterway where Spots Fish used to dock their boats. So we might want to address the safety concern there of people imbibing alcohol too close to the water's edge there. Maybe, I don't know if you can require some kind of fence or some other nature of safety protection there. And the only other thing that I would point out is when the city grants a variance, a modification, or condition, we ought to get something in return. At this stage of the game, if we do modify this cup, I don't know that we're getting anything in return. So again, I don't have any objections to it if the modification, if the amplified sound is taken out of the application. And I appreciate your time here today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker.
Joe Koklisa.
Repeat that name again.
Joe Koklika or Koklisa.
All right, next speaker.
That's it.
That's it? Okay. If you can come forward, Ms. Carter. You can rebut anything that was stated
Yes.
and answer some questions on the
I'll start with my name. Yes. So my name is Amberly Carter, like Kimberly, but Amberly. My legal name is Amberly Carter. I was married in 2017, about a year after I opened my first business. And I have been working ever since. I went to Social Security office like twice to finish changing my name and didn't get called by the end of the day and never got around to it. So here we are 7 years later, and I didn't change my name from Carter to Ferguson. But I am married. My name is Amberly Carter, and I have just been busy, and that's why I haven't changed it. The company is Ferguson Wedding Company, LLC, and that is the company that is in question today. And then Velvet LLC is actually option A for the proposed terrace space. So we have been on this project for over a year. We are thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars into this project. It was originally supposed to be built out as a restaurant called Velvet. We were going to be a members only restaurant with boat docking and things like that in that area. That fell through with the landlord, and so this was our agreed upon use. So that is where all of those questions come into place. Are there any questions on my name or companies? Okay.
If I may ask,
Yes.
legal, is there any problems with the entity? It goes with the land, right? The use?
Not that I know of.
Thank you.
Okay. And then the other question was the benefit to the community. So of course, like he said, we don't have a whole lot of issues as is, but based on the opposition letters that were received, I would really love to move these guests to this private terrace space located on the back side of the building as to not interfere with residents on Buccaneer Road. I really never knew that was a problem before. Like I said, I never received any complaints, but after hearing what they've said, I would really love to respect them enough to solve that problem for them.
Okay. Absolutely. Is there any other questions, Ms. Carter? None? All right, you may be seated. Thanks.
All right, thank you. I
We'll close it
appreciate
now
it.
and have a discussion amongst ourselves, unless we have a motion. Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm a little confused. What would condition 10 then read?
If you look at your staff report package, in 2020, there is a condition, so we revert back to that condition. So we would replace condition number 10 with the exact language that was conditioned in 2020 under condition number 10. So we would read, no amplification of music or use of speakers shall be permitted except within the main enclosed building.
So the only thing we're then considering is expansion of the use to include that outdoor area.
Mr. Plumley?
Well, then if we're dropping the noise matter from the consideration, this question may not be relevant anymore if we've dropped it. But I will just say, the amplification question doesn't change the current noise ordinance about bars and nightclubs, which says you can't have excessive noise. So it uses the term excessive, as I see it already. So the neighbors would certainly have the authority to call the police and say there's excessive noise. You can do that if boats are too loud, if they're not muffled properly in that area. So I understand they're dropping this, I guess, from the condition, so we don't have to consider that. But that was what was going on in my mind during that presentation, is that you still have the right, even if this cup was permitted with that outside amplification, to say, this is too loud, please address this, and the police have the authority to go on the premises and charge them with the citation. So,
All right. Any other comments? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Clemens,
Yes.
as modified,
As modified.
and a
I
second.
move that we accept this.
Thank you. And a second by Ms. Quaylar.
Correct, second.
Are there any commissioners abstaining? None? Votes open.
Ms. Cuellar, can you make that second? Oh, sorry. Good. Thank you. The vote is open. By a vote of 8-0, item number 4 has been recommended for approval.
All right, thank you. Next item.
The next item is agenda item number 6, Harrison House, Inc., an application for modification of proffers at 1851 Old Donation Parkway in District 8.
You can come forward, sir. Just for the record, we'll have you state your name and that you're asking for a deferral. I will let you speak in case, is that okay, since we're having speakers that he can rebut? Thank you.
Chairman Alcaraz, for the record, my name is Steve Romine. I represent the Regent of Virginia Beach, LLC, the current owner of the property, which is subject matter of item number 6.
Thank you. We're going to hear some opposition. I'll let you come back
Thank
up.
you. Appreciate it.
First speaker.
Yeah, our first speaker is Nancy Luckberg, followed by Jennifer Cox.
Again, understand we're deferring this. We're going to hear your comments. You have 3 minutes.
Yes, I didn't realize it was deferred, and I thought I'm here, and I thought I'd make my request so that you know what the neighborhood is feeling and the concerns that we have. My name is Nancy Leckberg, and I live in the neighborhood around this property. I believe that the zoning is to allow for rehab, but not to allow for opioid or alcohol rehabilitation. By putting this in the middle of the neighborhood, you are taking away the safe haven that is designed by the neighborhood. You've got parks, you've got schools, you've got the rescue center, you've got the library, and now we're putting in the possibility of people who can exit themselves out of this facility at any time, since adults cannot be kept inside of a facility if they don't wish to be. So now we have a neighborhood that could have anything going on. It is a neighborhood that has developed itself for years, and everyone who bought in the neighborhood thought they were having a neighborhood that was safe, that wasn't going to have any challenges. Now, we already have, the Psych Center has this kind of a rehabilitation, and we also have a brand new company on First Colonial that's brand new opioid and alcohol rehab. It's right there by the school. So it's not that we don't like to take care of each other and ourselves. It's that we think it's in the wrong spot. This building is nestled behind a dermatology office and behind the memory center. And it is nestled back inside so deeply that the building actually hawks over the back fences of the neighborhood, such that the third floor can look right inside of neighbors' windows and property. It's close. It's tight. And it's not making the neighbors happy. There's almost no parking back there. They share the parking with the memory center. It's going to be interesting to see how they get all their facility workers in there. Yes, that's a picky little item, but it's an item. We also had only one outreach for the neighbors. 6 neighbors got notes on their doors saying that there was an outreach that night. Well, 26 showed up. The word of mouth was pretty strong. I believe you've also received a petition requesting that you not change the zoning And I stand by that. That's my position here today, was to speak for the neighbors, to speak for the neighborhood. We want our safe haven preserved, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker.
Jennifer Cox, followed by Betsy Kremen.
Hi there. My name is Jennifer Cox. I'm actually the owner of the preschool that is about 171 feet away from the building that we're talking about. I actually thought I had taken my name off of this speakership because I had learned that it was deferred when we first got here. So really, I'm just up here to tell you that, as well as I have seen the petition that she's talking about. There's, I think, about 400 people that have signed so far. I'm not sure in the original. I'll save most of my content for next time when we're really talking about this, but it is very scary from my point of view, just to keep in mind.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Betsy Kremen.
Hi, if you can just state your name.
Yes. Hi, I'm Betsy Kremen. Along with Jennifer, will save my comments until there will be a vote on this, knowing that when I first got here that it would be deferred. So we will wait until then. Thank you so much.
Next speaker.
That was our last speaker.
That's all?
Yep.
All right, you can come, sir, if you have anything you'd like to say. I'm going to ask if there's any opposition for deferral, but then we're going to vote if we're going to defer it for you.
Thank you for the opportunity to come back. As you know, the property is zoned O2 and has a use permit for a rehabilitation center. We've just recently been engaged to address the issues and concerns of the community. So we'd like some more time to do that. I think there may be an opportunity to meet with the community and see if there are ways we can meet their concerns. And that's why we've asked for an indefinite deferral to explore that possibility and then bring it back at the appropriate time.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. There is opposition. We've heard from that. If there's any, is there any questions? Mr. Plumley?
No questions.
Ms.
I'd like to make a motion.
Let Ms. Quaylar say something.
No, I just wanted to say, like I said at our last meeting, how important public engagement is. I want to thank those who came today, and I want to go ahead and move this for indefinite deferral.
All right, and Mr. Plumley made a motion.
second.
Ms. Quaylar seconded.
I
Is there
really
any,
want to slice it.
anybody abstaining? All right, motion. Vote's open.
Ms. Cuellar, can you? Thank you. The vote is open. By a vote of 8-0, item number 6 has been recommended for deferral.
All right, thank you. Thank you for those that came too. That concludes our formal hearing for November 8th.